My top 5 favorite Christian movies of all time. Let's get into it. I'm gonna be real here. I didn't actually read your question all the way through. I missed the top 5 part, so I ended up just listing Christian movies that I enjoy for one reason or another. So we're just gonna go through those. So let's get started. Y'all know how I talk about fun trash movies, right? Movies that we love them, we adore them, but they're trash, they're crap, they're not very good, and we know they're not very good, but we love them anyway. I need the Christian equivalent of that. Like, what do we call them? Because I feel like calling it Christian fun trash isn't really polite, but these are the movies they're Christian movies that they comfort me. I love them. They're fun. They're movies I'll watch when I'm doing something mundane, like cooking or folding laundry, but they're trash, and I know they're trash. Starting off strong with this movie called Faith's Song. This movie is so bad, but it's such a comfort movie. It's the acting that's terrible. This movie has terrible acting. They sound like they're smiling when they talk, like people at Chick-fil-A. Fun fact, if you didn't know, that's the secret. Why they sound so happy? Smile when you talk. That's what I learned at Chick-fil-A. It's about a young girl named Faith who is a godly girl, loves the Lord, is all about Jesus, even has like Jesus decorated on her book bag, dresses modestly. She loses her parents in a terrible unexpected car accident and has to go live with her estranged aunt and uncle in a whole nother town. So she goes to a whole new school, and it's all about her, maintaining her faith in troubling circumstances. So great message, low quality film. The Girl Who Believes in Miracles stars Mira Sorvino and Kevin Sorbo. If those two are there, Jesus is, not too far behind. Again, same thing with this movie. Crap acting. It's like if they took Chick-fil-A people and put them on a movie set. Just terrible acting, but it's about a young girl who gets the power to heal people, and it turns out that she has some medical issues of her own. What I liked about this movie, I actually did a review on this movie on my YT channel, so you just kind of have to search for it, but it's there. It's from whenever this movie came out. I forget what year it was. It's whenever I moved here, so it might have been 2020, maybe 2021, somewhere around there. What I liked about this movie, this movie, why I find it so comforting, is what it really is a kind of a personification, a retelling of Jesus in the 99. How, he'll leave the 99 to go after the one. That's basically what this movie is. And I like the way the movie does it. I like how the story is structured, that God does all of this craziness just to get the one. And yet so many people are blessed from it in the process. But it's all about the one. That, to me, about this movie is very special. So, yeah, movie's crap. Low quality, great message. Typical Christian movie. This movie is not as bad as the other two. Some of the same Christian acting, but better than the other two, but it's not that great. But it's a comfort movie. This is one of my favorite movies to watch on like a Sunday morning, or if I'm cooking. It's good background noise. It's such a cute little movie. Also, it's Cinderella, and I love a good Cinderella story. She's my favorite. Now, on to the actual decent movies. This movie right here, Life Mark, it's good. I liked it, but I wouldn't watch it again. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a favorite, but I would recommend it. So it stars Kirk Cameron and one of the Kendrick brothers. What's that say? Alex Kendrick. So if you are familiar with Christian cinema, these names are obviously very familiar. We've known Kirk Cameron for going on 30 years at this point, and Alex Kendrick and his brother, whose name I can never remember, produce and direct and write movies together. So War Room, Courageous, Fireproof, I believe, is Kendrick Brothers, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they teamed up together to give us this story based on a true story about a young man who was adopted, whose birth mother reaches out to him, around the time he turns 18 years of age. And it's an interesting little family story. I love this movie so much. So I don't think this was intended to be like a Christian film. It's just a movie. This is Risen, stars Joseph Fiennes, the brother of Voldemort. He is so fun. The name is so fitting, but I digress. So this movie is about the resurrection of Jesus from the Roman perspective. This is about a Roman guard or soldier or whatever you call him, who was tasked with finding the body. Jesus has risen. The tomb is empty. He doesn't believe that he's risen, but he's heard the rumors. So he goes on search of the corpse and comes face to face with Jesus. It's a beautiful story. Draco Malfoy is also in this. The Case for Christ, based on a true story about this dude right here who was an atheist and decided to go out and prove that Jesus wasn't the Christ, that God's not real, and ended up becoming a Christian. It's a beautiful movie. I love it. Mike Vogel and Erica Christensen are in this movie. Every time I see her, she's crazy, but she's not crazy in this. Now, this movie right here, What If, stars Kevin Sorbo again, and Debbie Ryan. We know her from Jessie, Sweet Life on Deck. This movie came out when I was working at a movie theater, so I want to say 2009. We had this movie for the longest time. The longest time. Now, if you know anything about theater runs, they're very limited, but a theater can keep a movie longer than a studio might intend if the movie is still selling tickets. By the time we get to the end of the scheduled theater run, whatever the theater makes, the theater pretty much gets to keep. It's a whole, ratio and balancing scale thing, but we had this movie for a very long time. I remember we kept having to switch theaters. We would move it to our smaller theater and that would sell out, and then we'd have to move it to our bigger theater. That would fill up, then the numbers would go down, we'd have to switch it back and forth. But we had this thing for months. It did very, very well, but it's a great movie though. So it's about this dude, I forget his name, and then his girlfriend over here, they were like, we're dating or whatever. He goes and moves to another city for some sort of job, and she's worried about him losing his faith, and he does, and he gets rich, and he's all about money. And then this angel dude is like, you know what, I'm going to show you what your life would have been like had you done what you were supposed to do. And so his life like flips upside down, and now he's thrust into this life where he's a husband, a father, and a pastor, and he's a man of no faith. And it's a funny little story. It's goofy. I like it. The casting was also very good because she really does look like she could have birthed him too. This is in no particular order, by the way, but I feel like we all love War Room. I love this. This movie was actually filmed in Charlotte. The place where they go to get ice cream was actually a hangout spot when I was in high school, Birkdale Village, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I love this movie. Actually, a friend of mine is in it. When the pastor and his wife are going to view the house to see if they want to buy it, the pastor's wife, I know her. She was a Bible study leader of mine. Her name's Giselle. She's amazing. But yeah, we all love this movie. I think this movie really helped to transform a lot of people's prayer lives, and helped to transform the way people view prayer and how they communicate with the Lord. So yeah, we love this movie, right? Right? Brother White, this goofy movie right here. So this was my introduction to David A.R. White. David White, that's his name in real life, is David White. And he is a, very well-known producer, creator in terms of Christian cinema. I know he has a hand in Pure Flix. He is behind all of the God's Not Dead movies. He has some Christian television shows on Pure Flix. But I like what he does, what he's doing, but he was in this movie called Brother White. It ended up being on some gospel television show, and I just happened to catch it. I don't remember how I found out about it, but I love this movie. It's a goofy tale about this dude who worked at a mega church. He's a bit of a klutz, wanting to climb to the top, wanting to be able to be on stage and preach, but he's just a nuisance. So they sent him to this sister church down south, predominantly black church. It's failing. They need a pastor. So he goes there trying to bring his, mega church know-it-all to this church that is steeped in a different culture, and he has to learn how to adapt and be different and be humble. Obviously it has, our father from the 90s and also our auntie from the 90s. I like it. And one of the Winans. I love God's Not Dead too. Now the God's Not Dead franchise, let's be real here, it's kind of ridiculous on its face, but there's such a rallying cry for faith and for proclaiming faith. I think that's why they do so well. But the second one is definitely my favorite, obviously because Melissa Joan Hart is in it. And also I really love the plot. Now, I've seen all 4 God's Not Dead movies. This one, I think, is one of the better acted, better produced. I think the first one is definitely the best one in terms of the structure of the story. It just makes the most sense. This one, less so. The next 2 just get into the nonsensical, but the whole point of the movie really is just a battle cry, a rallying cry for faith. And, just having the courage to stand up and say, God's not dead. I am a follower of Christ. I love Jesus. That's the whole point of the movies, is to really rally one's faith. So that's why I end up watching this sometimes. And sometimes I just need that reminder, God's not dead. I am a woman of God. I am a child of God. Christ lives in me. I just need that reminder. And this movie kind of helps with that. So what are your favorite Christian movies?